When seeing a skinny dog, your immediate reaction is to think that the dog is underfed or not taken care of properly. Sometimes this is not always the case. EPI is a disease that makes it very difficult for an animal to gain weight and function properly as a dog. This disease comes with a multitude of problems other than just the weight gained, and with knowledge of this disease, it can help the animal to alter its lifestyle in a way that will support this disease and help him function as a normal dog and have him do a lot less suffering if you actually know that this disease existed. So basically, what is EPI and where does it come from? EPI stands for exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, which pretty much means that the enzymes responsible for the breakdown of your food, their enzymes aren't being produced at all. Like, they're being immediately destroyed as soon as they do, and it's not really known why, but they are. And so they have this insufficiency of enzymes, which is responsible for your nutrients being distributed throughout the body when the food is broken down that you eat. So pretty much all the food that goes into the body of the animal is pretty much just coming right back out. Nothing is being broken down or digested into the actual body itself. So it makes it very difficult for a dog to gain weight. Breeds such as the German Shepherd and the Border Collie are among one of the most common breeds associated with this disease. It's thought that there's a genetic predisposition to this disease, but they don't know like for sure. It's so rare that not a lot of cases are presented, and it's hard to study it because of its rarity. So when it presents, it's hard to find out what the reason is. But dogs can live their lives normal with this disease, although it does come with a bunch of consequences due to the lack of enzymes to break down their food. They look rather sickly because of how hungry they are and not being able to gain weight from the nutrients being broken down. So they look sick, but inside they're just really hungry, and they look like not normal, but they are still a normal dog. I know it doesn't make sense, but it's I'll show you an example later that will help tie it all together. But so due to lack of enzymes to break down their food, they look sickly looking, but they're still functioning. When nutrients aren't being absorbed, their extra cells to break down their food, everything the dog eats pretty much just comes right back out, as I said, and which this means diarrhea pretty much. So with this diarrhea coming and going, they're pretty much not absorbing anything into their bodies, and it's uncomfortable for the dog, as you can imagine, having diarrhea after every meal. Another side effect of EPI is polydipida, which polydyspia is when a dog has constant thirst due to the underlying disease, which in this case is EPI. Because of how much diarrhea, the dog is constantly thirsty and dehydrated and is not able to replenish anything that its body needs by itself. So they have a constant thirst, and it's crucial that the dog gets their water because they have no other means of their body producing anything for them because they're not functioning like a normal dog would be. So I'm going to show you an example. So this dog, you can clearly see the ribs are shown, and the dog looks rather sad and sick looking. So this is a dog with EPI, and this is the dog after a couple years of treatment. They've gained all their weight back and look like a normal functioning dog. Now this takes a lot of time, and it's not an easy thing to deal with for sure. There's tons of success stories of dogs with EPI that get diagnosed, but it's if they have proper treatment is how their success stories will determine what their outcome will be. So a diagnosis can be difficult if you didn't know that the dog had EPI from the start. It's best if you catch it early, but because of how tricky and unknown this disease is, it's hard to be able to do that. But there is a TLI test, which stands for trypsin-like immunoreactivity, which it basically measures the amount of enzymes that the dog is producing, and if the count is low enough, the dog is considered to have EPI. The thing with this test is it's very expensive. The only place that does this test is Texas A&M University. So blood is drawn from the animal and has to be sent on a special cargo plane that refrigerates it and has it kept at a certain temperature, and then it's dispersed to the university for them to do all their testing with it, and then the results come back to you, and that's when you decide if your dog has EPI or not. But after the diagnosis is when the fun part starts, is how to treat the animal. So after the animal is diagnosed with EPI, they have to start an enzyme process, which is a powder that goes into their food, and you have to mix it up for them every morning, and it has to incubate for 30 minutes. And if it's not incubated properly, the enzymes, when the dog eats it, will eat at the dog's flesh inside of its mouth and cause sores instead. Because an enzyme is a reactive cell and its duty is to break down food, it's going to break down whatever it comes in contact with if it's not incubated for long enough periods of time. So that's like crucial, because you don't want your dog walking around with sores, and they already can't get enough food, so for them to eat and it be painful is just not an ideal situation. So all in all, EPI is a more rare disease than most people do not know about. And in most cases, people just jump to conclusions that their dog has like cancer or something, and they'll euthanize the animal because they're not knowledgeable about what can be treated for and how to take care of the animal. So it's crucial that people know about this kind of stuff and do more research, because it's not fair to the animal. And if you think of it like if you were in their paws, what would you do? Like, you would want a second chance. You wouldn't want to just be thrown out. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have a great weekend. And EPI is a really important thing to know about, and I hope you guys learned something. Thank you.